A computer virus is probably the type of malware everyone knows by name. And the name actually fits pretty well, because a virus survives by infecting something else. The malicious code usually attaches itself to another file or program. So instead of sitting there completely on its own, it gets a ride inside something your computer already knows how to run. Basically, it's malware hitchhiking on something you actually wanted to open. And that's the catch. The virus usually needs the infected thing to run. You open the attachment, launch the program, or execute the file, and now the virus gets its turn. Once it's active, it can start modifying or infecting other files. One infected file becomes several, and those infected copies can carry the virus somewhere else. But notice the important part. The virus needed something to carry and activate it. A worm doesn't play by that rule. A worm is malware that can spread itself. Once it reaches one vulnerable machine, it can start looking for other computers it can reach. It can scan the network, find another vulnerable system, copy itself over, and repeat the process again. No infected document has to be passed around every single time. In some cases, nobody on the next computer even has to click anything. That's why worms can get out of control so quickly. One infected machine becomes 2, then 10, and every new infection gives the worm another place to spread from. And even before we talk about whatever harmful payload it carries, all that scanning, copying, and network traffic can cause serious disruption by itself. A worm tries to spread itself. A Trojan uses a much more embarrassing strategy. It gets you to install it. A Trojan pretends to be something you actually want. A game, a cracked program, a useful tool, a fake update, anything believable enough to make you run it yourself. That disguise is the important part. A Trojan doesn't have to reproduce like a virus or race across the network like a worm. It wins when the victim believes the disguise. It's basically the digital version of trust me, bro. You download it, open it, maybe even approve the installation yourself. And congratulations, the malware didn't break into the computer. You opened the door for it. And a Trojan isn't limited to one specific payload. Once inside, it might steal information, install spyware, create a backdoor, or download even more malware. The disguise was just the delivery method. And one particularly nasty thing that can end up on a machine is ransomware. Ransomware goes after something that gives the attacker leverage, data you don't want to lose. Photos, documents, projects, databases, whatever matters enough to make losing access hurt. The malware encrypts those files, transforming the data using a cryptographic key. The files may still physically exist on the drive, but without the right key, their contents are effectively locked away. The files are right there. You just can't actually use them. Then the attacker makes the deal obvious. Send money, and supposedly you'll receive what you need to unlock the data. Of course, paying means trusting the same criminals who infected you to suddenly become excellent customer support. And some ransomware operations add another layer. They steal copies of the data before locking the originals. So now the threat isn't just you can't access it, it's also we can leak it. Ransomware wants you to notice it immediately. Spyware has the exact opposite problem. If you notice it, it's doing a bad job. Spyware is built to quietly collect information while staying out of the way. Ideally, from the attacker's perspective, you keep using the computer like absolutely nothing is wrong. Depending on the spyware, it might monitor browsing activity, collect login information, capture screenshots, watch messages, or gather other useful data from the device. That's what makes it creepy. From your side, the computer might look completely normal. The collected information can then be sent somewhere else, quietly turning normal activity on your device into useful information for whoever is watching. And spyware is a broad category. Different spyware watches different things. Some try to collect a little bit of everything, others specialize in one extremely useful source of information: your keyboard. keylogger records keystrokes. Every letter, number, space, and key you press can potentially become part of a hidden log running in the background. So you could be typing your password into the real website using a perfectly legitimate login page, and the password still gets captured because the problem is happening before the website even matters. The website is real. The infected computer is the problem. And passwords aren't the only useful thing people type. Messages, email addresses, searches, private notes. If it passes through the keyboard, a software keylogger may be able to record it. Keyloggers desperately trying not to be noticed. Adware can have roughly the subtlety of someone kicking your door open to show you an advertisement. Adware pushes unwanted advertising onto the device. That might mean pop-ups, browser redirects, strange new tabs, or ads appearing in places where they absolutely were not invited. At first, it may just be annoying. Then you close one window, and somehow the computer interprets that as a request for 3 more. Yeah, that kind of experience. But software showing advertisements is not automatically malware. The problem is unwanted or malicious adware that installs without proper consent, hijacks settings, tracks behavior, or constantly forces advertising onto the system. But some malware doesn't particularly care what you see. It doesn't want your attention. It wants your computer itself. Bot malware turns an infected computer into a device that someone else can remotely control. Once that happens, your machine can start following commands you never gave it. Now infect hundreds or thousands of devices, connect them to the same controller, and the attacker no longer has one bot. They have a botnet. It's basically a zombie army, except every zombie has Wi-Fi. That collection of machines can be ordered to send spam, overwhelm an online service with traffic, spread more malware, or perform other automated tasks at huge scale. Meanwhile, the owner might still be browsing the web like normal, completely unaware that their computer has a second job working for somebody else. And if an attacker already got inside a computer once, they may want something even more convenient, an easy way to come back. A backdoor is an alternative way into a system that bypasses the normal path you would expect someone to use. In a malicious context, it gives an attacker hidden access. Think of your normal login as the front door. Password, security checks, maybe two-factor authentication. A malicious backdoor is the hidden entrance that goes around the front door entirely. Fantastic lock on the front door, by the way. Once that hidden access exists, an attacker may be able to return later, control the system remotely, steal information, or install more malware without repeating the original entry process. And the backdoor itself doesn't have to be the thing that originally infected the machine. Other malware can get in first, then create hidden access so the attacker has a convenient route back. But secret access becomes much more useful if the security tools looking for it can't get a clear picture of what's happening. A rootkit is built around an especially serious nasty idea. Help malicious activity stay hidden while maintaining deep or privileged access to the system. Normally, you trust the operating system to tell you what files exist, what processes are running, and what the computer is doing. A rootkit can interfere with that view. So the computer can basically look you in the eye and say, nope, nothing suspicious here. And that creates an ugly problem. Malware becomes much harder to find when the tools you use to inspect the machine aren't being shown the full picture. Rootkits can operate at different levels of a system, and generally, the deeper malicious code can interfere with how the machine reports what's happening, the more difficult detection and cleanup can become. That's what separates the idea from the others. Viruses infect, worms spread, ransomware creates leverage, spyware collects information. A rootkit's special talent is helping malicious activity disappear from view, which leaves you with a pretty uncomfortable situation. Sometimes the most dangerous thing happening on a computer is the thing the computer isn't showing you.